welcome to the Art of the Jam, the show where all of the music that you hear is made up right here in front of you, live. I'm Steve, I'm on bass, this is Jason on guitar, Brad on drums, and our special guest today, who's not just a guest, he's going to be here all the time anyway, Josh on keys.
He is special.
Josh plays in several high-profile local party bands. He also plays in, what is it, a Salt Lake Jazz Orchestra? Is that what it's called?
The Night Star Jazz Orchestra.
The Night Star Jazz Orchestra. Yeah, Slay Joe is something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to bring it back to the day.
Did you play in Slay Joe before?
Yeah, but that was like, what, 10 years ago? Something like that? It's been a while since that was around.
I wanted to ask you about a couple of concepts with jamming, okay? Because that's, what we're talking about, jamming, coming up with music live.
I thought we were talking about some strawberry preserves.
That's the other kind of jam. That's pretty good, though. So, Josh, I heard you talking about jamming, like trading off solos over a well-known progression and playing with a group like that versus spontaneous composition as two completely separate things. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, as musicians, I'm sure we've all taken our fair share of solos, and maybe some of us have taken too many solos. But when it comes to a solo, everybody's kind of concentrated on that one person, right? And they're just improvising, and they're making up a line on the spot. But when you sit down and you actually compose a piece, there's a lot of thought towards like form of the song and like where's the melody at and counterpoint and stuff like that going on. So I think the idea of when you get together with a bunch of musicians and are jamming, rather than like, okay, you take a solo, okay, you take a solo, okay. No, we don't ever give the drummer solo. No, I'm just kidding, Brad. I love you. Rather than just trading off solos and everybody playing, it's more like we're writing a piece, like a full-fledged composition on the spot. So it has its ups and it has its downs. And there are times where we've gone on and played where there's actually no melody going on and it's just like soundscape.
Yeah.
It kind of depends, but it's just very different than thinking about like, okay, it's my turn to like solo and it's my turn to like step out. So it's kind of a little bit different.
So a lot of people haven't done something like that before. There's something that you said once that helped me a lot, and you took it from theater improv, a concept of yes and. Okay, tell me more about that.
Yeah, in theater, when you're doing improv in theater, there's this concept of yes and, where someone will, like, especially if you're improvising a whole scene on the spot, somebody does something, and rather than having like, oh, I think it was supposed to go here, so I'm gonna say no, it's this way, right? Like, oh, walking into a supermarket, right? And like, oh, no, it's not a supermarket, it's a fire station. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's rather than like trying to control the narrative, it's that the concept of yes and is like you taking what somebody else gives and being like, okay, and then giving something more. Like, for example, if you're doing an improv scene and you get the concept that you're in a grocery store, and then the other person's like, oh yeah, and then it gives a little bit of other piece of information like they're a thief and they're robbing the place, right? So rather than saying no, we're in a totally different place, this agreement of yes and means that, okay, I'm going to agree with what you're saying, and I'm going to give you more information, and then it's back and forth, and sooner or later you have a full scene made out of nothing. So
how does that apply to jamming with a band?
Yeah. So it's very similar concept because sometimes when you play something, we're all listening to each other, and then and Jason may play a cool idea on the guitar, and it may be going a completely different direction than what I thought it was going to go. Now I could be like, no, follow me, you know what I mean, and kind of like be a lot more controlling of what's going on. But rather than that yes and agreement is like, okay, that's cool, let me give you a little something more to play off of, and then back and forth. So it's I don't even know Like that's the best way I've come to describe it is that yes and, like you're saying, someone says something, yes, and here's some more, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of trying to take it over, or
Yeah.
and release, letting go of maybe you decided before, I am going to play this, and then somebody plays something completely different, and instead of getting worked up about it, saying, okay, I'll take that, and here's something that I can add to it.
So some of the funnest times are when you make a mistake
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. But rather than like having that wreck what was going on, you almost have to say yes and to that as well. Okay,
Right.
I just played that. Cool. Now let's see what else we can do with that. You know what I mean? So that concept goes beyond even playing with other musicians, but what you're playing yourself too.
Cool. Well, let's play.
Okay.
Okay. you.